Hi everyone. This week we're going to talk about the basics of dealing with JavaScript. JavaScript is a web-based scripting language or programming language that's really common these days. It's actually been around pretty much since the web got started. It was sort of fell out of favor during the early 2000s when Flash became very popular. And now that we have better consistency among web browsers, JavaScript is sort of once again the primary tool that developers use to create interaction on the web. JavaScript also nowadays does a lot in terms of sort of data parsing and rendering of visualizations, and that's another reason why we're going to work with it this term. So just to start off, we're going to just do some sort of basic exercises, and we're going to look at something called data types. We'll cover this more in class on Thursday. But what I want to show you guys is sort of some basics of seeing how data types, what they look like, and how they work in just sort of your basic JavaScript. So we're going to start out in Aptana. Hopefully this should be familiar to you guys. I just started up Aptana. I happen to have a project, a workspace here that I started called InfoViz. You guys made one last week called Project 1. You're welcome to do this assignment anywhere you like. We're not even going to have to put things on the internet right now. But we're just going to open up that workspace, and I'm going to create a web project, actually open a web project that I have here called JavaScript Basics. And so this may look familiar to you guys. Hopefully it looks a little bit familiar from the other day. And I'm going to do what we did there too, which is I'm going to go to my file menu, I'm going to say new from template, and I'm going to choose HTML. So HTML, as you may recall, stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to just go ahead and call this my JS Basics page. And I'm going to put in my header text, which we modified last time as well. I'm just going to say all the action here is in the console window. Okay, so what's the console window? We don't know yet, but we will very shortly. So again, I go to save it, and I'm going to say I want to save this in a project, JavaScript Basics. I'm going to call this JS Basics. Remember, I have to put my file extension in here, so jsbasics.html. Okay, and just to see that everything is working okay, that we haven't yet broken anything in our template, I'm going to go ahead and open up this page in Chrome. Now, there's a reason why we're going to use Chrome for this. Chrome has, most major web browsers now have some variation on the tools in Chrome that we're going to use for these exercises. I just happen to like the way that Chrome does them sort of best of all. So I'm actually going to, I'm not going to open Chrome. What I'm going to do is go to my desktop, and I'm going to open the folder here that has this page in it. And now I'm going to open it. Obviously, you can see Firefox is my default. That's great for web browsing, but for these purposes, I want to see this in Chrome. Okay, so far so good. I can see just in my just on my desktop that everything seems to be working okay. The text that I entered renders correctly, and of course, I have my title tag up here, JS Basics page. Now, first and foremost, the console window. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click on my web page. It doesn't matter where on the web page I do this. I can do it anywhere. And I'm going to choose Inspect Element. Now, what I want you guys to notice from this right away is that we have this thing that says is Elements, this little tab called Elements. So what we're looking at down here is kind of, we're peeking under the hood of our web page to see what's going on. There's a lot that happens down here. I'll just point out to you for now that this has what we call this collapsing or nesting, collapsing nested tags. And if I were to expand all of these tags, I can see if I flip back to my Aptana here that actually this looks exactly like the code that I see in Aptana. And it is identical. That's exactly what this window is showing me. It's showing me the code that drives my web page. So I can compare these two to see what's going on there. We'll get into some of these other, what some of these other tabs do in a minute, or a little later on in the semester really, but the one that I want to draw your attention to right now is called console. So what you can think of console as being is it's kind of like an output window. It's basically a place where I can send messages from my code to the front of the browser. So for example, if I wanted to send a message, I can send a message from JavaScript. So now that I've seen the console window, I can see there's nothing in here, right? Nothing has actually happened yet. My elements are there. I can see the code for my web page. That's great. Console, empty. Nothing's going on yet. Now, in order to write things to the console window, I need to use scripting, specifically JavaScript. So I'm going to go ahead and start typing a script tag. I can do this directly into the body of my HTML. Later on, we'll move this out into a separate file, but for now, we're just going to leave it inside. And this script tag is basically a flag to the browser that says, hey, there's JavaScript coming up next. So you can see that the format of the script tag has this same sort of symmetry that we see in all of our markup tags. So we have a body tag, and then we have this / body. We have h1 / h1, script / script. So we have that same kind of symmetry that we see in all our markup. And to begin with, I'm just going to directly use this special command called console.log. And what console.log does is it literally just prints something to that console window. So I'm going to just say, hi there, here I am. You guys can put in here any message that you like. And I want you to just notice a couple of things about the structure of this statement. So console.log, this is what we call a function. We will be discussing these a little bit more in more detail on Thursday. But what I want to point out is that basically what we have here is the name of our function. And then we have the things that we're passing to our function. So in this case, we are passing a string, which is why it's enclosed in double quotes. So very similar to the way that you would quote something, a person in an article. If you want something to appear exactly as you wrote it, then you put it inside double quotes. I can put anything I want in here, 555. And in addition to that, you see that I have these round parentheses. So basically what I'm saying is, hey, console log, here's the thing I want you to print out, right? Is going to be whatever appears between these two round parentheses. And this semicolon that we see at the end, you guys can think of as basically like a period. It basically says, hey, here is my sentence in code, my code sentence, right? Console.log. And at the end of it is a semicolon, and that says, okay, I'm done with this. So just to see what this does, I'm going to go ahead and save it. That's always important. I just use Apple S, or you can use Control S if you're in PC. And I'm going to come back to my web page, and just as we did before, I'm just going to reload it. And notice that I've left the console thing open here. And there you go. You can see it's just printed very simply. It's printed that thing that I sent to the console, that I gave to the console log function. Just kind of handed it off there. Something else that I want to point out here is that over on the right-hand side, it's actually given me a little bit more information. It's telling me where in my program the command, right, or the code, the function call, to print this came from. This is a really important element of the console log window, because what it means is if you run into problems, it's actually telling you where in your code the problem lies. And that's a lot of what console log is about. It's about foreseeing what's going on under the hood, behind the scenes with our coding. So very, very basic. All we've done is added a script tag and written this console log message. You'll see that I could put, 675, right? I can put numbers in there. I can also log other types of information. So if I change this, right, it's just going to print that out. Now, what we've been doing here, as we mentioned, is we've been logging strings. Strings, quotations, text, okay? Kind of all the same concept. And that's what we've been passing to our console log message. But there are a handful of different types of data, of information that a computer is sort of designed to recognize. A string or text is one of them. There are a handful of others. We're going to talk about numbers, something called booleans, which can have a value of either true or false. Those are the only two values they can have. Arrays, which are like lists, and objects, which are sort of, well, it's an object, it's a thing. And it's a thing that can have different descriptive properties about it. So in the next section, we're just going to take a quick look at how some of these things operate so that you have some familiarity with them as we move into the next lesson. See you in a moment.